My name is Elena, and what I'm about to share still sends shivers down my spine whenever I think about it. Following my graduation, my parents decided to rent a house for me in the suburbs as a gift. It wasn't a fancy place, just a typical suburban neighborhood, with its mix of the affluent, the struggling, and the downright strange. Unfortunately, my story intertwines with the latter. One evening, after a quick run to the store, I stood on the porch, key in hand, when a commotion across the street caught my attention. Shouts pierced the usual suburban silence, sounding like an intense argument between two drunken individuals. Curiosity got the better of me, and I glanced toward the source. Through the window of the unremarkable house opposite mine, I saw a scene that left me perplexed. An older woman, around 55, was attempting to pacify a younger woman, presumably her daughter, who was in her early 20s. The daughter was on the bed, yelling and even spitting at her mother in a fit of rage. Suddenly the older woman's eyes met mine. In an instant, her anger redirected towards me. She hurled her daughter onto the bed, stormed out of her house, and began berating me, accusing me of prying into their lives. I retorted, suggesting that they should keep it down, and maybe close their windows if they preferred their arguments private. This only fueled her rage, and she charged towards me. I barely managed to rush inside and lock the door before her fist pounded against it. My threat to call the police seemed to deter her, and the pounding ceased. That night, as I sipped my tea, trying to shake off the earlier altercation, I caught sight of the old lady again. There she was, standing in the darkness of her window, her gaze fixed on me with an intensity that made my skin crawl. Unnerving as it was, I decided to distract myself with a soothing bath, and eventually drifted off to sleep. After the unsettling encounter earlier in the day, I sought solace in the quiet of the night, wrapping myself in the comfort of my home. The tranquility was short-lived, however, as I was jolted awake by a noise that pierced the silence of the house. Glancing at the clock, I saw it was 2:30 in the morning. Lying in the stillness, I willed my heart to calm, convincing myself it was nothing, but the peace I longed for was elusive, and after a tense 5 minutes, I drifted back into an uneasy sleep. The calm was shattered once more by a louder rumble from the first floor, a sound so jarring it propelled me from my bed. Sleep was now a distant memory, replaced by a growing sense of dread. Clutching my pepper spray, I crept downstairs, the silence of the house amplifying every cautious step. The sight that met me was mundane, yet oddly unsettling. A pot lay on the floor, presumably knocked off by the cat. Though seemingly innocuous, the incident left me unnerved. As I made my way back to my room, the weight of the night's events began to press down on me. I reassured myself that the house was secure, but a nagging doubt lingered. I decided to double-check the front door, a routine that had become second nature since moving in. To my dismay, I found it unlocked. A shiver ran down my spine. I had a clear memory of locking it after my trip to the store, but did I remember to do so after taking out the trash? The question hung in the air, unanswered, adding another layer of anxiety to the night's already tense atmosphere. With the door now securely locked, I retreated to the safety of my room, eager to put an end to this nightmarish sequence of events. In the dead of night, with my heart pounding in my ears, I had convinced myself that the disturbances were just a product of my overactive imagination. That fragile peace shattered in an instant when, amidst the oppressive silence, a sinister laughter echoed through the darkness, sending a wave of cold dread down my spine. I sat bolt upright, my eyes straining in the dim light, searching the shadows for the source of my fear. As my eyes adjusted to the darkness, a ghastly sight came into focus. It wasn't just the angry presence of the woman from earlier. It was her face, ghostly white and contorted with rage, her eyes bulging with an intensity that spoke of unspeakable malice. The sight of her, so unexpected and so close, was like a jolt of electricity, sparking a primal fear that coursed through my veins. The sheer horror of the moment was amplified by the sight of blood, a stark, chilling contrast against her pale visage. It wasn't clear where the blood had come from, but the smear on her cheek, illuminated by the moonlight filtering through the window, added a macabre dimension to the already nightmarish scene. My scream melded with hers, a symphony of terror that filled the room. Her anger, so palpable and so close, felt like a physical force, pushing me to the brink of panic. In a desperate bid for safety, I dodged at her outstretched hands, their intent clear in the moonlit gloom. My heart raced as I stumbled to the first floor, every shadow a potential hitting spot for the nightmare that had invaded my home. With shaking hands, I grabbed my cell phone, the weight of it both a comfort and a reminder of the reality of my situation. The dial tone seemed to take an eternity, each ring a lifeline slowly extending through the darkness. The arrival of the police was my only hope, a beacon of safety in the terrifying ordeal that had transformed my home into a scene from a horror story. When the police arrived, they conducted a thorough search and found the woman hiding in a closet, clutching a knife. The truth that unfolded was more horrifying than I could have imagined. She was an escapee from a mental institution, not the mother of the young woman next door, but a captor who had taken her hostage, keeping her subdued with stolen sedatives, mimicking the cruel treatments she herself had endured within the institution's walls. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us likes and comments.